This is a training video for the Aladdin EasyFit Isolator. We link each step of the instructions with a video clip. You will need a fully charged battery drill that is at least 14 volts and the Aladdin EasyFit Isolator installation toolkit. Check the valve comes with the 4 bolts in the housing corners which you will need to remove to start. Check that the plastic cap with the 4 chrome screws and the red handle with the M8 half nut is in the kit. The installation toolkit includes the long socket, the socket cap driver bit and a posi bit. Number 1. Check the pipe. Pipe surfaces must be smooth and straight. Ensure pipe is 15mm copper, hard or half hard, 0.7mm or 1mm wall thickness, or plastic, PEX or polybutylene pipe. Has no kinks or bends, and the surface is free of solder or paint runs or other damage. 2. Rotate lower housing onto pipe. Slide the lower housing around the pipe to face forward. Rotate until in the required final position for ease of using the isolator. The Aladdin EasyFit Isolator must not be further rotated or slid up or down after this stage of fitting, as either action could dislodge the seals. 3. Attach the upper housing. Press the upper housing directly onto the lower housing. To avoid shearing the bolt heads, if using a drill with variable torque, set at approximately half of maximum torque. Firstly, using the socket cap driver bit, completely install 2 diagonally opposite socket cap bolts, diagram A 1 and 2, tightening them alternately. Secondly, install the last 2 bolts, diagram B 3 and 4, then tighten all the bolts diagonally in sequence until the housing halves are completely flush on both sides. Note the gasket may extrude a little from the sides of the housing. This is normal. (4) Prepare for driving in the cutter plug. Ensure the battery is fully charged. If your drill has adjustable settings, set the drill to low gear and at maximum clutch, which is the drill symbol. Attach the long socket with the red reference line. Ensure the half nut is not located on the spindle. Note the circlip on the spindle and the poly tube underneath it. The poly tube is essential to ensure the long socket does not depress the spindle during installation, else the seal can be damaged. Do not remove the poly tube prior to operation 8. 5. Drive in the cutter plug. For plastic pipe, it is recommended to use a wrench on the housing to counter the rotational forces in order to eliminate the small risk of flexing the pipe damaging an existing joint. Place the long socket over the spindle and locate on the hexagonal portion of the cutter plug, making sure not to compress or dislodge the poly tube. Using the drill at a low speed, around 60 rpm, rotate clockwise the cutter plug until the red line on the long socket aligns with the top of the collar. Once rotating, do not unscrew, as this would prevent the product from working. Stop rotation when the cutter plug cannot be easily rotated any further. Note, as the pipe is cut, the pipe slug is compressed and the installer will feel the resistance increase and decrease. 6. Remove the collar. Unscrew by hand, counterclockwise, the collar from the top housing and discard. If the collar will not unscrew, the plug is probably not all the way in. Recheck the red reference line is lined up with the collar. If not, screw in further. Else back off the long socket up to 5 degrees maximum and then the collar will unscrew. Note, if you find more torque is required than your drill can provide, then you will need to use either a ratchet or a wrench to drive in the long socket. 7. Check and align the cutter plug with the housing. Check that the top of the cutter plug thread and the housing flange are flush. Align the red dot on the cutter plug with the red dot on the housing flange. Operation 9 cannot be completed without this correct alignment. Note, we recommend you align the red dots using a wrench in a clockwise direction so that the cutter plug is fully home. If you cannot align clockwise because it is too tight, then align in the anti-clockwise direction. You can also rotate the plug to align the dots using your long socket still in the drill chuck and manually rotating it like a wrench. This can be faster. Do not unscrew more than the half turn. 8. Remove the split polytube. 9. Fit the white plastic cap. Fit the white plastic cap over the spindle and push down the spindle. You may need to hold down the spindle against the water pressure in the pipe. This is normal. Align the scallops underneath the white plastic cap with the bolt heads. Using a Phillips screwdriver, screw in the 4 panhead screws to attach the cap. Tighten carefully in order to not strip the threads, diagonally in sequence until the cap is flush with the housing. You can alternately use the posi driver bit in your drill to fit the cap. This can be faster. "10. Fit the handle. Push the handle over the spindle thread, either way round according to operator's preference, and replace the M8 half nut. Test isolation. The handle will move 90 degrees and will stop when the Aladdin EasyFit Isolator is fully closed. You can now isolate supply with the Aladdin EasyFit Isolator.